So this weekend with family in town, we were looking, you try to remember things, but how many of you know we don't remember things anymore because we have our phones and they remember things for us, remember? And so we were trying to remember things, and we were going back and looking for photos, and Jessica posted something she posted on her Facebook timeline from 2017 that said, tagged several of us and said, "I'm so excited, I can't wait." And we were all like, what are we doing? Where are we going? I have no photos, I have nothing. And Miss Pam was like, "I think we were line dancing," which sounds like us, right? But we were all trying to remember what was it we were so excited for. But as I was going through pictures, the Lord had already begun to talk to me about this, but I noticed something in my videos. I take a lot of videos of water. And that makes sense being a West Texas girl, because it's like if you go somewhere that has grass or water, it's like, ooh, grass. And you have to live here to understand that if you can walk in grass barefoot, you know it's a West Texas kid. How many of you have ever taken a baby barefoot and held them over the grass? They hold their feet up. They already know there's fire ants and stickers in there. We're not walking in that. They learn very young. So there's something about it that I realized, and don't get me wrong, the pictures are beautiful, the video's beautiful, but you know what I love most? The sound of the water. I have video of storm waves crashing off the coast of Oregon. I have video of waves on the beach in Maui. I have video from the shore of the Sea of Galilee and the Mediterranean Sea in Tel Aviv. I have rivers in New Mexico and Colorado and different places in the beautiful exotic Gulf of Mexico. That was supposed to be funny. In Texas and Florida, if you've ever, the first time I ever saw the ocean, I saw it in Galveston, and I went, this is it? It was so brown, but yes, it's beautiful, but there's something about the sound of the rising and the falling of the water, the rhythm of the waves crashing, even in the lake, in the Sea of Galilee, and the riverbeds, there is a rhythm, there is a trickling, there is a sound of water that is so soothing to me. How many of you have ever been to the ocean? You've been to the river and you find yourself just listening. Or you've been up into the mountains and you can hear the wind blowing the trees. And it's so quiet, you can really hear as the wind comes and then it dissipates and then it comes again, and there's a rhythm to the wind in the trees. And how many of you have heard the sound of a beating heart? I remember as a little girl, I'd lay on my dad's chest and I'd move my ear around until I found his heart. And I'd listen to his heart beating. Or laying next to someone you love and listening to them breathe. Now, sometimes that's painful, depending on if your husband snores, but other times it can really be soothing. Have you ever heard a train on its tracks? A bird singing its song? The rain tapping on the window. Rhythm is all around us. Some say rhythm is going to get ya. It's a song. For you young ones, it's a song. But rhythm, it's a very basic pattern, and it's something we pick up very young. Our grandsons are dancers, man. And since Whitaker has been able to crawl, he's danced. You can just see it. They're just sitting there, and that was. He's got his in-ears in. He doesn't know he's playing out loud right now. He's gone. But when he was little and he was even barely crawling, some music would come on and you'd see his head start going, or you'd see his shoulders start moving. They were already starting to dance at a young age, and now they love to come over, and I love it. It makes my heart so happy because Duncan and Skylar will come get me and drag me in and point to the record player. And you know what they love? They love Count Basie. They love Count Basie. They don't know Count Basie, but they love him. They love those old jazz albums, and we turn them on and they just dance. It looks like the Peanuts characters just dancing right there. They have their weird moves and they're just going for it. But even as little kids, they pick up the rhythm. They hear the rhythm and it makes them move. I got tickled in one of the first songs we sang today, and the band got to really grooving, and I looked across, and every one of these men, their head was moving and their shoulders were moving because they were feeling the rhythm of the song. Y'all didn't know? Y'all just walked right into my message, did you? Rhythm is fundamental, and when we recognize rhythm is right, we can also recognize when rhythm is wrong, right? You've seen people dance and you went, something's not right here. You've seen people dance and went, wow, that's amazing. And the other people, you're like, who's going to tell him? Somebody's got to tell him. Well, the worship team's going to help me today. That's why they're still up here. So Winston, can you hear me now? I just want you to play one note, just one note, and sustain it. One note, sustain. Not a chord, one note. Do it one more time. Now let's talk about that. It's a sound, right? Is it a song? Is it a song? No, it's not a song. It's just a sound, okay? Sam, will you just play just a simple 4-quarter note beat? No. No, Sam. Not all the stuff. See, this is so hard for them because I'm way more basic than they are. Just snare only, dut, 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 dut. Go. They can't go so basic. They don't even know how to be so basic. Well, let's talk about that rhythm, okay? They're trying, it's okay. Okay. It's a beat, right? But is it a song? No. Is it rhythm? Not yet. It's a sound and it's timed, or it should have been timed, but it's not a song yet. Okay, so let's put keyboard, drums together. Let's just start with you guys. Y'all picked out the song, right? Okay, so you two, just this keyboard and drums, y'all just play together, and then I'll tell you when we add everybody else in. Okay, we have sound, we have timing. Is it a song? Yeah, it's a song. So now let's add bass. Can we add bass guitar? More rhythm, right? It's not the same as the drums, but it's there. Okay, let's add some guitars. And Kenny, you hop in there too. Let's just play. Okay, little soul on it. It's nice, right? It's pleasant. There's sound, there's rhythm, there's a groove happening, right? But how many of you know that the minute things go askew, you'll notice? So let's have the drums go askew. Bad rhythm. Here we go. They probably can't do it. Everybody else, keep playing what you were playing. They're so gonna hate me after this. Okay, bass guitar, play whatever you want, not the song. Keep going. Winston, stay on harmony. Melody. Now, it was pleasant. It's all the same instruments, playing in the same way, But what's off? The rhythm. And if this were a live performance, we'd all be like, are they warming up in the orchestra pit? Like, what's happening? What's going on with them? Okay, y'all can stop. Right? When it's right, we know it, but when it's wrong, we really know it. Some of you are Jeremy's over there sweating because he gets really nervous when things aren't right musically. When rhythm is right, we hear it, we know it, we feel it, but when it's wrong, it's so wrong, right? But how many of you know, Winston, start the song again in the right way? There are songs that are played, and they can just be soft and gentle, but bring everybody else in, all the instruments, and I want you to drive the song. I want you to build it. I want you to get with it. Whether that means increasing the tempo, increasing what you're doing, go for it. Come on, drive it, build it. Yeah. All of your heads are bobbing. Why? Because you hear the rhythm. You feel the rhythm. All right, soft and tender. Soft and gentle. Soft and tender. Still a rhythm. Still pleasant, still beautiful, but very different. Let's give them all a big hand. Y'all did good. We didn't practice this before, so it was quite a stretch. They can't even stop. They're like, we got more to add. They did great. Y'all are awesome. Y'all can go down. Thank you. Rhythm is fundamental. It's essential to life. We instinctively get rhythm. We know it. There is rhythm in every part of life. The tides, the season, day and night, they're all rhythms of the world. Birthing a baby, there's a rhythm. There are contractions that are timed, and they happen in such a way. Even the process, through pregnancy, a doctor is watching for markers and things that happen, and they know exactly that you're on track or off track based on those markers. Did you know in dying, there is a rhythm? They have begun to understand and recognize the signs and the rhythm of dying to the point that they can tell you how much time you have. Rhythm is essential to life. It is deeply rooted and a part of our world. And when the rhythms of our world are off, we have problems. When your circadian rhythm is off, you can't sleep. When your heart comes out of rhythm, trouble is imminent. Rhythm matters. Point 1. Rhythm is essential to our natural world and our physical bodies, but rhythm is also essential to a healthy Christian life. We've had fun, yes, it's good, but let me tell you, there's even more fun when you find a rhythm in your Christian walk. And there is a rhythm to kingdom living. In the book of Mark, we find a remarkable pattern in the life of Jesus. And I'm not going to read the entire book to you today, so everyone take a deep breath. But I am going to walk you through some things because there are some patterns I want you to see in the life of Jesus that we see in Mark. In the book of Mark, chapter 1, we find in verse 9 that Jesus went to John the Baptist and was baptized. And immediately after, he was led into the wilderness for 40 days of prayer and fasting. Then he came out and was tempted by Satan, and he overcame. And then he went forward and he called others to come and follow him. He cast out demons. He heals Peter's mother-in-law. And there were many who were possessed and sick with disease that were brought to Jesus, and he healed them. And then in verse 35 says Jesus went to a solitary place and prayed. He comes back. In verse 38, he says, we're going to go to Capernaum. He heals a leper. And then in verse 45, it says he stayed in deserted places. Even though the people came to him, he stayed withdrawn. He comes back to Capernaum. He heals a paralytic. He recruits Matthew, the tax collector. He teaches the disciples about fasting, about Sabbath. He deals with the Pharisees. He heals multitudes and casts out more demons. And then in verse 13, he went away to the mountainside and prayed. He comes back. He calls the 12. He empowers them to minister. He teaches parables. He casts out more demons. He heals more people. He raises someone from the dead. And in chapter 6, he withdrew again and he went back home. There, Jesus is rejected by his own people. John the Baptist is beheaded. Now 5,000 people come to him to make dinner. And Jesus' response in Mark 6:31 says, come aside by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while. While the 5,000 were waiting, he withdrew and rested. He goes back, he feeds the 5,000, and in verses 45 and 46, Jesus sends away the multitudes, gathers the 12, and sends them to a mountainside to pray. Don't worry, though, he walks on water and catches up with them pretty quick. From there, they go to Gennesaret and cast out more demons and heal more people and teach more and deal with more religious spirits. And now he feeds 4,000 and the blind are healed and he deals with more Pharisees and he teaches more. And in chapter 9, verse 2, Jesus takes some of his disciples up to a high mountain to pray. And there he's transfigured. And Moses and Elijah are there. And there in this place of prayer on the mountainside, they're getting a glimpse into the reality of kingdom. And they're seeing Jesus in all of his glory in Moses and Elijah, not in the multitudes in the temples and in the synagogues, but on the mountainside in prayer. Then there is more teaching, more deliverance, more healing. And in chapter 14, there's a retreat to the upper room for the Last Supper. And then a prayer meeting in the Garden of Gethsemane. And then he faces the Sanhedrin, he faces Pilate, all leading to his death and resurrection. When we look at Mark's account of the life of Jesus, there's nothing easy. There were constant challenges, constant needs, constant criticism, disappointments, betrayals, but he endured it all with grace and compassion, with purpose and intention, because he had a rhythm of life that included prayer, meditation, silence, solitude, service, worship, and celebration. Jesus used these disciplines as a means to maintain his focus and his heart towards the Father. He used spiritual disciplines to receive guidance and direction. And if Jesus used spiritual disciplines, how much more do we need them? How much more do we need them? If Jesus had a rhythm of life, how much more should we? So what are spiritual disciplines? I'm going to be transparent with you. There's not a definitive list. There are some places that list 7 disciplines, some that list 10 disciplines, and there's some that list 20 disciplines. And I'm not going to go through all of them today. You can Google and pick your list. But there are some disciplines that are those of abstinence, which means getting away to be alone with God. Just as Jesus would retreat to the mountainside, or he would gather just a few and they would go to pray. Those abstinence disciplines include solitude and silence, prayer, meditation, and fasting. And there are some disciplines of engagement. So not everything happens alone. That's a discipline. There are disciplines of engagement, and those include corporate prayer, fellowship, service, confession, testifying, and celebration, even communion. And depending on your temperament and circumstances, you'll be drawn to some more than others. You introverts like the solitude and silence, but you need the fellowship and connection. And some of you extroverts love the celebration and worship, but you need the solitude and silence too. So just because you're drawn to one doesn't mean you pick your favorites and just do those. We need all of them because each one of them imparts a strength to us that we would lack without. I've been doing some physical therapy for the last 2 months, and it's interesting because she explained to me that because of an injury, my body went into self-protect mode. So I don't want to walk now because I'm going to tell you. So I don't walk right. That's basically what she said. Walk there and walk back, and I did. And she was like, yeah, we got a problem. And I was like, oh, great. And what she said is that because of an injury in my lower back, I had gone into self-protect mode. So where most people hinge at the hips, I was hinging at the ribs. And all of this was stiff, so I was walking like this. Well, what does that matter? There were muscles in my glutes and in my hamstrings that I never used because I was using my back and my abs to keep everything stiff and straight. Why does that matter? Those muscles I weren't using atrophied. They went to sleep, and it took me 2 months to get them to wake back up. When we refuse spiritual disciplines, there are spiritual muscles that go to sleep on you, and they atrophy and they stunt your ability to work properly. You may think you are protecting, you may think you are supporting, you may think I am taking care of me, but what you're doing is setting yourself up for more pain. We develop spiritual disciplines in our lives, even the ones that aren't our favorites, but we do it because it's necessary so that we can be strong, so that we can be capable, so that we can be nimble. There is nothing worse than stretching a tight muscle. It hurts. It hurts bad. But the older I get, the more I enjoy stretching. When you're young and you're flexible, it seems pointless. When you're old and you're hurting, it's necessary. Trust me. Okay, so we want to make room to implement all spiritual disciplines because each of them bring new levels of development and endurance in our faith. But keep this in mind. Point number 2, spiritual disciplines are means and not the end. If you're not careful, you'll begin pursuing the discipline. But that's not the discipline, or that's not God's plan. It's not that you pursue the discipline. It's that the discipline is the tool to get you to Him. The discipline is not the end. He is the end. He is the pursuit. The discipline just helps you get there. So if fasting goes no further than rejecting food, then you've missed the point. It's the connection with the Father that you're pursuing, and fasting helps you get there. If service goes no further than checking off your community service box, then you've missed the point. Your service develops compassion and thanksgiving, endurance and perspective as you allow the Holy Spirit to minister through you and you grow closer to the Lord. If you are serving and you don't feel like you're growing closer to Jesus, you're doing it wrong. Because you've compartmentalized serving separate for pursuing Him. But when you understand serving is pursuing Him, and I can find Him in my serving, then I grow stronger, not weaker. Zondervan Academy states, by practicing the spiritual disciplines, we place our minds, temperaments, and bodies before God and seek the grace of transformation. In this way, we learn to appropriate the power of kingdom living. This is rhythm. There is a rhythm to kingdom living. There is a way to live this Christian life. And sometimes we bring people in and they say the prayer, they get born again, and we say, welcome to the family of God. And we give them a good slap on the back and say, good luck. But if we teach them why it matters that you pray, if we teach them why it matters that you read your Bible, if we teach them why it matters that you make Jesus Lord and not just Savior, if we teach them why it matters that you gather together with a fellowship of believers, if we teach them why these things matter, it begins to transform them. The old man is dead. The new man has come. The new man is, your spirit is made new, but your soul has to be retrained. And the spiritual disciplines are tools for that retraining, but you have to set up new patterns, new disciplines, new rhythms in your life. See, spiritual disciplines should not be a burden. These aren't items to add to your already overloaded to-do list. They are tools to help you find connection to the Father. They are a means of developing your ear, focusing your heart, and pursuing your God. Number 3, we don't practice spiritual disciplines to please God. We practice spiritual disciplines to expand our ability to be in union with Him. I'm going to say that one more time. We don't practice spiritual disciplines to please God. We practice spiritual disciplines to expand our ability to be in union with Him. There's nowhere where Jesus says, you only prayed 30 minutes. That's it. You're not going to heaven. There's no place where He says, you haven't fasted this week. I'm done with you. He never condemns people for not practicing spiritual disciplines, but He is constantly inviting, come fellowship, come dine, come feast. And how do we get there? Spiritual disciplines. Through prayer, through fasting, through worship, through gathering together, we find ourselves growing closer and closer to Him.
Connecting with Lifehouse Fellowship has never been easier. Check out the Lifehouse Fellowship app. Send us a prayer request. Check out our upcoming events. Watch our services and even give. Download the Lifehouse Fellowship app today on Apple and Google Play stores. If you live or are visiting the Odessa, Midland, Texas area, we would love to see you at Lifehouse Fellowship. Service times are Sunday at 10 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Visit lifehousefellowship.net for more information, and we hope to see you soon.